Energy vampires feed on you in stages: poke, provoke, consume. This video is about how to recognize their tactics and stop being their donor. How do energy vampires feed on you? Do they drain you just by standing next to you? Do they feed on attention? Can they suck you dry when you make an eye contact? When you argue with them? When you feel sorry for them? When you try to defend yourself? Can they feed on you even when you stay calm? Let's discuss. Their draining technique has a recipe: poke, provoke, consume. Stage 1. Poking. Energy vampires start by pressing on whatever emotional button works on you. Maybe you're sensitive to criticism, easily hooked by guilt, or quick to feel fear. Poking is when they attempt to create an energetic injury, a puncture in your emotional field. Think of it like a mosquito. Before it feeds, it has to land. It searches for a soft spot. Then it pierces the skin and inserts its tiny feeding tube into you. The types of energy vampires, which I'll explore more in future videos, differ based on their chosen poking mechanism. Think of each poking style as a tool. Different tools, same goal. Some energy vampires become masterful at playing the victim. They'll put on a show so you can feel pity, guilt, and a sense of obligations. Others specialize in threats, subtle or overt, provoking fear. Yet another type pokes through criticism and judgment. You'll feel shame. It's important to understand that piercing alone isn't the feeding, it's just the access. Coming back to our mosquito example, poking a hole in something doesn't mean something is extracted yet. If the beast doesn't create a suction, nothing comes out. Feeding only happens if mosquito stays attached, finds a blood flow, and you don't swat it. As you can see, piercing alone doesn't guarantee a meal. Energy vampires don't feed simply because they've made contact. They feed only if the poke turns into emotional flow, if they stay attached, trigger a reaction, and create a movement inside of you. And that brings us to stage 2, provoke. To suck you dry, energy vampires need to generate an emotional response in you. Emotion is energy in motion. To create an energetic channel, they need their poking to trigger a systemic reaction within you. They need you to get angry, guilty, scared. They need you to feel fear, pity, and pain. The stronger the reaction, the stronger the current. And the stronger the current, the easier the flow. The moment you react, internally and maybe even externally, the energetic current starts moving, and that's when the drain begins. The flow is successful when you experience those achy emotions like fear, anger, pity, a sense of obligation, shame. And it's not just a fleeting spark. The reaction needs to stick. It needs to get under your skin, to occupy your thoughts, to hold you in that state for a while. That's when the energy vampire sinks its teeth in. Yummy. And that brings us to stage 3, consume. This is the final stage of the energy drain process. Consumption happens when they successfully hook your emotional charge and keep it alive. For the feeding to be effective, you have to stay activated as long as possible. You replay the conversation. You obsess over and over again about what they said or did. You defend yourself in an argument. You analyze their motives. You justify them and try to find the reason. Your mental space becomes occupied by them. The longer the emotional charge continues, the longer the feeding lasts. Time plus attention plus emotion equals sustained supply. The longer it goes, the more they get, and the more you get drained. So what's the solution? How do you survive their feast without losing your spark? Here is the hard truth. Being poked is inevitable. Energy vampires poke almost everyone they meet, testing who is a viable source. The poke is their litmus test. Is this a good donor or not? Everyone is a test subject. But here's the good news. Just like a mosquito, if you react quickly and kick out the beast the moment it attaches, you can stop the energy drain. The faster you respond, the less energy they get. To protect yourself from energy vampires, set boundaries the moment they poke. Any tiny critique, ambiguous joke, or devaluing remark, say it clearly. No, not with me. Most energy vampires will lose interest and move on to another target. The best protection is high standards. Boundaries are your shield. Don't justify bad behavior. Be firm and clear. Say, "This is not acceptable with me." And then, if they violate your boundary despite your warning, leave, walk away, protect your space. Yes, you may feel lonely at first if you cut out all the energy vampires from your life, but you'll get to recharge, build yourself up, raise your vibe, and create a new tribe. Enjoy Ditch the Leech? If you have a leech in your life you want to ditch, subscribe to this channel. We talk about energy vampires, quitting being a donor, setting boundaries, and building your unstoppable self.